Asomugha.
Question? Remember, we talked to you on a conference call just before the Eagles played out there in 09, and you talked for about half an hour about the frustrations of being in Oakland. You hadn't played in a playoff game. At that point, you'd never won more than 5 games in a season. Come here, this team's been in the playoffs 9 of the last 11 years. Just talk about how motivated, how driven you are to be with a team that's winning, and the frustration of never being on a winning team in your career in 8 years.
I mean, obviously, it's frustrating to not win. You know, the number one goal when you come into this league is to win the championship. You hear every team say it every year. You know, we want to win the Super Bowl. That's our goal, and it's the only reason you play. So when you're not winning, you're not making it to the playoffs. That can be frustrating. And obviously, I've seen what the Eagles have done in the past, the winning tradition that they've had, and it excites me. You know, and it excites everyone here. Obviously, now we're looking into the future to see what we can do with this team, but they're winners.
No, I'm sure you had a lot of teams looking at you, but I mean, you come to the Eagles to win, but this team's also never won a championship, even being in the playoffs. So what made you think that coming here that would be, you know, it would happen this time?
Well, you know, it's a talented team. I've been on talented teams before. I think from top to bottom in the organization, you know, it's first class. The head coach and the president, GM, owner, you know, all the way down to the players. You know, so it has a championship feel to it. Obviously, you still have to go out on the field and you have to perform. But you know, all we can do is go out and work and expect to bring back victories.
Other winning teams also were suiting you. What about the Eagles made you come here?
Like I said, I mean, there was so much from top to bottom, you know, that they had, and they were aggressive. You know, when a team wants you, you can feel it. You know, and when you feel that match, you know, I don't think you can shy away from it.
Nnamdi, over the years, teams, other quarterbacks stayed away from your side so often. Is it exciting to you that now people won't be able to do that? I mean, there's another great corner on the other side.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, and I've played with good corners, you know, in Oakland, and I was taught by great corners in Oakland. So, you know, I understand how it is sometimes to not be thrown at, and then there are times when you are thrown at, you know, and you always got to be on your toes. So there's no telling how it's going to be here, but you know, I just want to come out and be able to make plays and do that a lot more than I've done. I've had many opportunities. I've had seasons where I've made, you know, 8 interceptions and done this, that, and the other. But you know, you want to be able to do that and help your team out as much as possible. And I feel that those sort of things can happen here.
How big of a draw was it? How big of a draw was it to come play on a team with Michael Vick?
You know, obviously it's a big draw because you know that he's a great player, a talented player. And I spoke to him at the Pro Bowl, and he did a mini recruiting pitch there, and that was good. It was good to feel. And obviously Deshaun has been texting and calling throughout the off season. So. You know, having Vic here and the rest of the talent that's here, I think that's the big draw. Obviously, no one single player can control the team, but when you get a group of talented guys like that and guys that are ready to win, it's impressive.
Humanitarian work and philanthropic work, is that a calling? And what's been your motivation? And you know, and when you look at Philadelphia, I know a lot of the things that you're doing have been West Coast based. Do you plan on bringing some of this stuff here?
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I always said that no matter where I was, I would continue to work in the community and everything outside of that. You can't play football forever, and you know, I do believe that while you're playing, you have to use that platform in some sort of way. And if it's helping out in the community, then it's fine. If it's other things, that's great. And for me, it was community. It's always been so. I definitely plan on keeping that up here with the organization here in Philadelphia. And that, you know, to be quite honest, the Eagles have been one of the most active community-driven organizations in all of football. So I think it's a great match in that area.
Eagles been in 13 playoff games since you've been in the NFL, and you've never played in a playoff game. What's it like every year come January when every other, your friends, your guys are in the playoffs, and you have to watch it from home and having never experienced that?
It was depressing, because like I told you before, there's one reason, there's one main reason why you're playing, and you want to win. So, obviously it would be a little depressing. I wouldn't watch, when the playoffs would come around. I wouldn't watch. Maybe I'd see some highlights, or if I had to go, on TV and speak about the playoffs, then I would watch a couple things, some highlights here and there. But, it's depressing as a player. So you always want to put yourself in position to win games, and that's what I'm doing now.
How long have the Eagles been a team that you were looking at as a potential destination, and were they your first choice team?
When I spoke to the owner, and the president here, I told them quite honestly, once March came around and we started thinking, there might be a chance that I'm not going to be back in Oakland. We never knew what could happen, or if there was going to be a process of trying to re-sign me or anything like that. But when we said there's a possibility that I won't come back, then obviously, my team and myself, we had to start looking at other teams. And to a man and woman, everybody that was in my team, they know the number one team was the Eagles from March, when we were looking at teams. And then and there was a handful of teams at that point. And then when the Eagles became a possibility, we knew that it was the match.
Nnamdi, is this defense a lot different for you from a scheme standpoint and nomenclature standpoint?
I just got here, so I have no idea. From what I saw, from what I've seen them do in the past, I would say yes, it's different. I don't think there are any teams that play man-to-man, the entire game. So I would say yes, it's going to be different from what we've been in. But it's a new coordinator now, so I don't know if it's going to be similar to the past. I just got here, but I'll look in the playbook and try to get into it as much as possible and then see.
If you, Asante, and DRC are all here for the season, and all three of you are playing, how workable is that situation?
Oh, it's very workable. It's the best situation, because you have, obviously teams are passing a lot more, and there are rules that are, I don't want to say catered to the offense, because I don't want to get fined or anything, but there are rules that are pretty interesting and allows the offense to be more explosive. So you want to have as many defensive players and defensive playmakers, defensive backs that you can. And if that's the case, it's very workable, and it can mean some very impressive things.
What number are you going to wear?
Nnamdi, Scott Hansen, NFL Network. Good to see you again, man. Congratulations to you.
What's up, Scott?
Not much, man. I know you've been busy with your own situation. You've been traveling and everything else like that. But have you taken note what the Eagles have done in the past 72 hours? Not only yourself, but the others. And how excited does that make you for the influx of talent here?
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. I was on the plane coming here when I was hearing about Cullen Jenkins, and what was happening with that. And we might not be done yet. I think there's more that could even be coming. So I don't know. It's exciting. Anytime you can get this many players that can go out and put their best on the field and bring back victories, it's exciting. But obviously we still have to go out there and play. Everything looks great right now, but we still have to gel. We still have to come together and work and bring those victories.
This is such a weird year with free agency in July and August, and teams not having the spring. And the Eagles are bringing in all these guys. There's at least 4 new key defensive players. Can you get all that together for this season to be be good this season?
I think absolutely. I mean, I think the number one thing that I can probably take away from the guys that are coming in, you know, obviously this is already a smart team and a talented team, as I've said probably about 20 times. But the number one thing that I can take away from the new guys coming in is that everyone has that sort of football knowledge, football instinct type of thing to them. It's not just, you know, great talented athletes. You know, there are guys that can think and guys that can move the game mentally. And so I think anytime you have that, you bring that into any organization, you can pick up and you can gel a lot easier. You know, if it was on talent alone, then there might be some questions, but we brought in some smart guys.
What was the experience working with President Clinton and his initiative? And also, what is your connection to Nigeria and what do you hope to accomplish here?
Well, I'm Nigerian American, both parents Nigerian. So there's a lot of work that my foundation, the Asomugha Foundation, there's a lot of work that we do back in Nigeria and helping out with orphans and widows and people in need back there. So that's always going to be a big connection for us. It's always going to be something that we do. And working with President Clinton has been great because he's a guy that's always connected there as well. So you know, it's something that I'll continue to do. And he's a huge football fan, and everybody's excited right now.
Could you have? A lot of teams were after you. Could you have signed a bigger contract elsewhere?
You know, there was you know, there was money out there. You know, there was money out there. There was a market out there with the numbers that you guys assumed, that the media assumed I wanted. You know, it's funny. You know, you don't pay as much attention to it, especially when everything is happening so fast. But you heard the stories, the apocryphal stories about the things that I'm expecting as far as numbers and stuff like that. So, you know, it was out there. The thing that I wanted most of all was to be in the right situation. And my team and myself, we felt like this was it, regardless of money, regardless of location, regardless of the supposed things that I want to do after football. You know, regardless of all that, we had to make a clear decision and what was best for us.
The Eagles didn't get involved until late, it seems like, though. I mean, we'd heard about a number of other teams that had reportedly made some pretty big pitches right away. Were you ever concerned that it might not happen, that they might not come to you, especially with them trading for another cornerback?
You know, to be quite honest, I wasn't concerned that it wouldn't happen because you know, like you said, the Eagles never really seemed to be in it. You know, even for me, I mean, you guys are surprised, but even for me, you know, for the offseason, you know, you're dealing with specific teams, and the funny thing about it is you don't have time to take visits. You know, it's not a true 4-month or so free agency. And anybody that knows me knows that I like to take my time and make decisions. And, you know, I'm on the phone and it's like, yes, no, what do you want to do? Make a decision. I'm like, give me 5 minutes. We don't have 5 minutes. You know, you got to make a decision. And it was, you know, so everything came really quickly. And then when the Eagles expressed interest and came so aggressive, I said, you know, we have a chance. We want this. Let's do it. That's, you know, it didn't have to go much further than there.
What was it about, I mean, I think you might have said about the community involvement, but what was it about the Eagles over maybe other contenders like the Jets or whatever that made you think ahead of time that this would be the best fit, regardless of money?
It was just it's hard to explain. There's so many factors that went into it. You know, obviously, if I had never been thinking about the Eagles, if I started thinking about the Eagles when the Eagles came into play, then, you know, I don't know what would have happened. But I did it the way I like to do it, and making decisions early. So that decision was made in March. So once we made that decision and we put all the pieces together, marked off the boxes, saw what we thought was the best fit, when that comes around, you know, full circle, you gotta go with it, and it just happened.
Do you feel like you took a little bit of a leap of faith, though, when even though you like what you saw in the organization, they do have a new coordinator, they have new coaches all over the map, and a lot less time than you would have in a normal year to get everything prepared. So is that, in your mind, the risk factor there?
Not a risk factor, but you know, I think in everything there's a leap of faith that you take. You know, not necessarily, you know, there's a risk like this could be, you know, terrible or anything like that, but there's a leap of faith. You know, you have to do it. In whatever team I would have joined, that would have happened, because you don't know what's going to happen. You know, you can't, you know, sit up and proclaim that, you know, you're going to win it all and this, that, and the other. You have to be focused, and you don't know what's going to happen. So obviously there was that chance that you're taking, and they're doing the same thing with me and taking a chance, you know. But when you find what's the best fit both ways, you got to make it happen. That's what we did.
You're changing numbers. Can you talk about what that? There's a new era or something. Can you talk about that?
You know, it's not the biggest deal. You know, obviously I've had 21 my entire professional career, which has been great. But Hansen has been here, you know, and he's had, and I'm not gonna come in here and start trying to take over, you know, everything. He's been on this team, he's been here, you know, so it was point blank, does it mean something to you? And he says, you know, yeah, it does. That's all I needed to hear. We don't have to go into money, you know, let me buy it for you, let's start going back and forth. No, let's move on. You know, it's the jersey number, you know, but before all of that, you're the football player, you know, so I'm going to go out there and still play my best regardless.
Do you know
Two more questions, guys. Two more
Do you know
questions.
Asante Samuel and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie at all?
You know, not really. I know Asante a little bit from Pro Bowls, you know, and we talk while we're up there, and I've admired his game since forever. I mean, anybody that knows me, I've always said, you know, if there's a playmaker at the cornerback position, you know, that's him. You know, he really knows how to go after that ball, and I've always admired him. So coming here, you know, was very exciting in that regard, knowing that he was here. And then Cromartie, you know, you've always watched him from afar. I've never really spoken to him, but obviously I know he's a talented young player, and you know, it's a great situation to be in.
You mentioned Mike gave Asante, is it, you're very different styles, it seems like. Can you mesh? Can you both
Yeah, but you know, there's this thing about styles, but to be honest, I'm a football player. I play within my scheme, and I try to do the best for the coaches that are teaching me. And so if they tell me that they want me to do this, I'm going to go out there and do it, you know, and I'm going to put my best foot forward. So there's no, you know, one way of doing anything. Before being a so-called shutdown corner or cover corner, you're a football player. You know, I was a safety in college. I had to learn the cornerback position. You know, I've come a long way. I struggled for my first 2 years in the league. And so I don't necessarily put it into having a style. I put it into being a football player and doing what I'm asked to do. So it'll mesh. I'll make it mesh.
You mentioned Mike gave you a quick pitch at the Pro Bowl. What did he say?
You know, the same thing that, you know, a lot of guys say. You know, quick. It'd be great to have you. You know, we'd be taking another step. You know, that sort of thing. And so I saw him today, and you know, his first words were, "We made it happen."